record. Here we go. So welcome to Art 244. Off camera, we did a whole bunch of kind of looking at people's sculptures and seeing where they're at this point in the quarter. It is the midpoint in week 4 of the quarter. So we're going to want to try to wrap these sculptures up in another 2 weeks. And if some folks have their sculptures already completed, I would welcome them to come in either on Monday or Wednesday during the daytime before class, so that I could maybe in class start to demonstrate the gating process and move us towards the next thing. So on my table, where you guys picked up your box full of tools and materials and everything, if you want to bring your sculptures in, you don't have to turn over all of your wax and tools and everything yet. You can keep that and keep working on maybe a small secondary or even third, a little tiny sculpture that you might be working on. But if you have one finished, Aurora, you know who I'm talking about, please bring it in. Maybe put it in some kind of a cardboard box to sort of protect it a little bit from the elements. I would even crumple up newspapers or crumple up plastic bags or something, or bubble wrap or something, to kind of let the sculpture kind of float in the middle of a cardboard box, so that it's not just laying on a couple of limbs or something that's might bend under its weight. And bring it on over here. And if you just set it on that table, I certainly will get it and receive it and bring it on inside and fix it up right here on camera before everybody as we go forward. So that's in the next 2 weeks. That gives those of you who are kind of getting started late on this project time to still ramp up your sculpting and focus in, on a project that you want to work on, and really give it hell for the next couple of weeks, because that would be great. What else? Oh, I asked my dean if we could meet face to face, and he said sure. So I don't know if you guys actually want to come in next week while we are all still sculpting and meet here in class, because it's kind of anticlimactic now that we've been sculpting for a while. But that's fine. We can do that. I'm going to make that optional starting next week. So if you want to come in, if you want to kind of sculpt with me in the same room, we can do that. And I can do this as a hybrid kind of a class where I have an online presence. And those of you who, for one reason or another, don't want to catch the COVID virus, none of us do. But if you are at a higher risk or have people in your household who are at high risk and you don't want to come in, you can stay home and still catch this, on Zoom. But folks who want to come in, we will be masked up in here, and we will be socially distanced and all of that. But we can do this as a face-to-face class kind of starting next week, next Monday, if you want. So that's something.
I would love to come and be in class. Like, that sounds like so much fun, but the volleyball team just got put in quarantine. So
okay.
Yeah. So we'll have to figure that out.
Yeah. Well, after is your quarantine 1 or 2 weeks? What did they say?
We had some people test positive.
Yeah, I get that. I just can't remember now if we used to be quarantining for 14 days. So is that what you have to deal with right now? Or
right now we're in quarantine, and then we're getting tested again on Tuesday. So I can imagine that we'll know more next Tuesday.
Okay, that's cool. That's fine. And how pleasant was that test with the swab up the nose?
I've had the deep nasal one, the one that we tested on Tuesday this week, and it was just in the bridge of your nose. It wasn't that big of a deal. I've had the deep nasal one, and it's not, it's uncomfortable, but it's not like
everybody says.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's cool. Well, thank you. And so for the rest of you guys, it really is about your own ability to do risk assessment for you and your family and what you want to put up with. There are some of you guys who are so desperate to get back into a face-to-face class, and I don't blame you, because doing this on Zoom kind of sucks. And a lot of you would like to get out of your dorm room or out of your apartment and be able to see people in a different environment. So we'll do that. You have to mask up, you know, and I wish I could make you all a wonderful mask that we designed and are making in our 3D design class, but there's just not enough of me to go around. So I can't furnish masks for everybody. You'll have to be able to furnish your own mask if you kind of come in. We will definitely be face-to-face in the 7th week through the 10th week of the quarter when we're doing the casting process. So even if you can't come in during weeks 5 and 6, we will shift into something where there will be lots of opportunities to see different parts of the process demonstrated. Again, I don't think I can have everybody doing everything hands-on because I've got to be dipping patterns in the ceramic shell shed, which is a small building outside of the Eden Hall area, and I can't fit everybody in there, and that's too many close people in close proximity. But I would like to get some of you to be able to help in the process, maybe one at a time, and maybe either helping me, or what I'll do is I'll demonstrate the process and then I'll step back so that you guys can take a turn at it and dip patterns and that kind of thing. So we will get you involved in the process in a face-to-face way, hands-on, going forward. Okay. Sculpt, James. 1, 2, 3, go make sculpture. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to get out whatever it was I was working on last time, because you know it's so fun to have all of these little sculptures going at the same time. Kind of hard to keep track of everything. And I've got my hot box on, but it never gets the wax warm enough. So the wax is going to go underneath my armpit so that I can warm it up and then start sculpting with it. And some of this wax is harder than others. Some of it has been kind of broken down and the microcrystalline structure has been kind of softened up and broken down before. And some of it is still pieces that were cast in wax as slabs or sheets of wax. And that stuff is hard. And that does take a little bit of heat to help to soften it up so you can break it down and break all of those little crystalline bonds that are part of the structure of the wax. So change to the overhead view, and I just dropped a piece of wax out of my armpit, which looked like my armpit just took a dump, but it didn't, but it looked like it. Okay. You guys, you don't have to be shy either, especially you crazy people like the volleyball players or the softball players. If you are if you just want to talk about stuff, you can open your mics and we can just talk about stuff too, because that just helps make the sculpture go better, and it lets me know that somebody's out there, because otherwise you guys all just turned on your Zoom and then you walked out of the room and you went and you're having dinner or something else, and it's just me and Aurora really that are here. Because not that I get feeling sad or lonely or anything, but I've been talking to myself on Zoom for 13 months now, and it's kind of gotten old, I have to tell you. And I'm sure you guys feel like it's old too. We're really looking forward to next fall when we can really try to put this pandemic for the most part behind us and have our classes live face-to-face. But don't be surprised if we're still going to be dealing with masks in the fall, because I have a feeling that the pandemic will still be something that we'll be dealing with in one form or another. And the only way to really have safe interactions in public spaces, I think, is going to be to continue masking, even if we don't have to do quite so much social distancing. So when you're looking for a mask, look for a comfortable one, because we may be wearing them for another half a year to another full year as we try to knock this virus completely down. Has anybody gotten their shots yet. I got one 2 weeks ago, and I'm getting the follow-on shot here this Sunday. I'm scheduled for it. Anybody else have any vaccination stories that you want to tell?
I've had one, and I go for the next one on the 13th or 14th of next month.
I'm really concerned because a lot of people get a lot of bad and misinformation off the internet. And so even now we are dealing with folks who are, vaccine hesitant and are worried about the vaccine for one reason or another. And I'm here to tell you that there's nothing that is risk-free in life. There's always a little bit of risk with everything. But they did the best they could to run these vaccines through a trial and check it for both safety and efficacy. And the statistical risk of getting some bad reaction to the vaccine is super, super low, 1 in a million or less. And so I just, I'll take those odds because getting the virus infection is a lot worse. And so, but we really haven't had to have this kind of a discussion in a long time. When I was growing up, God, I'm sorry to have to do this to you, but in the 1960s and 70s, vaccines were all brand new, and everybody believed in medicine, modern medicine and science, and it was just great. Everybody got vaccinated, didn't really think about it. We had been 10 or 15 years since the polio vaccine came around in the mid 1940s, and polio was just this terrible childhood disease that was caused paralysis and stuff in people. And so by the time the 1960s and 70s rolled around, and we had vaccines for whooping cough and rubella and measles and mumps and all the childhood diseases that used to kill a lot of kids growing up before the modern age, vaccines really changed everything. And I know that with the advent of the internet and Facebook, people who are vaccine skeptical have really been able to raise a lot of doubt in a lot of folks, and that's too bad. Those of us who are in education and higher education are always appalled when anti-intellectual kinds of things come out, and it's just like, oh, really? Okay, and it's a social thing that we have to deal with. So try not to be swayed by social media claims or stuff like that. Try to get your information about health science and vaccines from reputable sources if possible. We say that in all of your other classes, your writing classes, and any course that you have to write a paper for where you're doing research. We want you to use reputable sources, and you have to kind of use reputable sources when you're making health decisions too. So enough said. I'll step down off of my stupid soapbox. I suppose you're wondering what I'm doing off camera here. I'm kneading this wax because it is so hard in the middle, and I finally got it both warm and broken down enough that I can do something with it. So now I'm going to continue working on my frog. Hopefully I haven't made too many of you mad with my little tirade there, but the only way that we're going to get this pandemic under control is to achieve herd immunity. And we're going to need to do that by getting 70 to 80% of people either vaccinated or immune from actually getting the disease. And so now we're looking at the long-term studies to see how long immunity lasts, because as a coronavirus, this is just like the common cold. As a virus particle, its shape, its mode of incursion into the lung tissue and stuff like that. And so we know that you're not really immune to the common cold for very long. We may have to develop booster shots that we get annually or something for this thing. that's going to be an interesting part of a brand new, postmodern thing that we've really never had to deal with before, is a pandemic style disease that is kind of an ongoing low level threat in the community. So stay tuned, because we'll be surely talking about that through the summer and next fall when we get back into school again. Okay. Anybody else have anything to talk about? Like, how's that volleyball season going? Ooh, that's a sore subject. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. It's been good overall, other than just finding out about the COVID incident and everything. But it's been nice to get out and play teams and actually feel like part of a sports team again.
Well, so is your season done? Because this kind of, knocked everything off the radar for 2 weeks, and I don't know how much longer your season was going to go.
Not really sure. I mean, our coach says that it's just postponed, not canceled, but I mean, COVID's a little unpredictable, so fingers crossed that everything goes good, but not really sure.
That's cool. Okay. Wow. Well, I don't know where I was going with that. Where was I going with that? I don't know. Anyway, I'm making a frog, so it's kind of hard for me to sculpt and think and talk all at the same time, especially if I'm talking about something that is not a frog or not a sculpture right now. So I thought maybe that I needed to see what it was like to build these eye farms forward, because for some reason they felt like they were a little bit too far back on the head. It felt like this head was like all eyes. So I do have these eyes kind of popping up, you know, rising up above the skull and above everything else, is kind of like, frog eyes, little kind of pop-up frog eyes. And so I was kind of building them forward and maybe filling in a little bit on the back of the frog head. Not that this has to look like anything, except all of the peepers or serious frogs have hatched out, and now they're all in their mating cycles or something. So the frogs are seriously croaking over here by Eden Hall in the wetlands. I don't know if you guys can hear them a lot over in the student housing. Do you guys have a lot of frogs over there?
No, but Halen and I have tried so many times to catch a frog. It's unreal.
Oh,
Halen did catch a
We
frog
did
one
catch
time.
one.
you can't catch these frogs. These are impossible to catch.
You just got to stand on that little concrete block in the center and reach in.
Do you are you like super
Flashlights
slow
and
mo?
nets.
Huh?
I was just wondering if you were like super slow mo and going after them, super slow motion, or if you have to go real fast to catch them. But
Little both.
okay.
Flashlights, like a really bright flashlight, sometimes make them like stop in place too.
Really? That's cheating. You're blinding them.
I am. I mean, I don't catch them all the time though. We have a ridiculous amount of frogs in my front yard.
Front yard. That must be a heck
Yeah.
of a front yard.
It is a heck of a front yard.
So what eats frogs? Do you have predators there too?
I mean, I'm sure we do. We have like snakes and raccoon and possum and
Okay.
a whole bunch of fun stuff. Lots of birds.
Oh, okay. I think the birds and
Are
the snakes go after the frogs quite a bit.
Are you local, Aurora? Like, are you in the area?
I'm off at East Bay. So if you're like going north out of town, you go across the Green Bridge in that first turn.
Oh.
And then you kind of follow it around, and I'm like directly across the bay from where Virginia Avenue is.
Oh.
Up on those little like houses. So at nighttime, if you go all the way down Virginia over by like that Dutch Brothers and you look across the bay and you see the lights, one of those is my houses.
Awesome.
My house. I can't speak apparently, but yeah. We moved here about a year ago, or over a year ago now, a year and a half ago, and it's beautiful here. I
Yeah,
like
but there's
it.
not a ton of things to do.
Oh my
I mean,
God, I know. I moved
I
from like
have
a
like,
pretty big city and I'm bored out of my mind 90% of
yeah.
the time.
No, I at work today had several people ask me like, oh, like where is there to go shopping here? Like we're just passing through. Like, you guys have any like good beaches? And I was like, well, we have beaches, but there's literally
Right.
nowhere to go shopping. I'm sorry.
Right, exactly. Yeah, no, it's funny. I went and visited a friend of mine, like just before the pandemic really got bad. And she was like, what do you want to do? I'm like, I want to go to a fucking mall. Like,
Yes,
sorry, I have the worst potty mouth ever.
you're all good.
But
So
yeah, no.
Aurora,
Yeah.
this is James. I was just wondering, we, my friend and I go riding our motorcycles every day around the East Bay. We like to go out there and then come back. So do you ever get annoyed by these two motorcycles, one very loud that kind of comes past your house?
Honestly, no. Especially now that I know that you've done that because you were talking about it the other like last quarter. And
Uh-oh.
so now whenever I hear him, I'm like, bet that was my teacher. But I think we actually did pass you in the bright yellow Jeep like a day or two ago.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
was like,
Okay,
I
cool.
think that's my teacher.
Well, very
Also,
good.
I've been attempting to get this thing to stand on the base literally since I found that base. And I
Yeah.
finally have her on there.
Okay, I'm putting you up. I have replaced the pin. Oh my God, look at that. You've got her standing. That's fantastic. All right.
I'm stoked right now. All right.
Good job. And it's not falling over and it's not collapsing. That is
Yes.
wonderful. Good job. Good for you.
Thanks.
Nice
I've
going.
been stressed about it. I was gonna make you do it.
Oh, thanks. Thanks a lot.
Uh-huh. All right.
Let's see. What have I got here? I'm going to remove. I like to pin you when you're going to do something, but then when you're just going to go away again, then I'm going to remove your pin. Removing pin. Okay. So as you can see, I am just kind of building my little cat and turtle and frog and person sculptures, and not in any particular order. And I wanted to remind you guys about when you're doing a sculpture, try to sculpt the whole thing all at the same time. Try not to spend or concentrate on any one part of it and trying to perfect that while everything else is undone. And try not to work like from one end to the other end and not go back. It's really kind of important to just keep rotating the sculpture and keep building up and applying with the additive process and or carving down and refining through a kind of a carving process all over the place, all at the same time, almost randomly, because that way you'll kind of move the entire sculpture forward at the same time without getting one part of it too far advanced of everything else. I got feet. I put feet on this little person. I still don't know if this is a little guy or a little whatever, but it's got little footy forms on it now. And those all went on just as little chunks of wax that got built up in the additive process. And slowly, we went from vestigial feet to little paddle feet to, finally something that kind of looks almost foot shaped with the inside part of the foot down to the big toe, the longest, and then the toes tapering back towards the little toe, unless you're one of those people who are a freak and have a long middle toe. And then I feel really sorry for you because I have one of those freakishly long middle toes too. So entirely too much information about Mr. Fritz at this point in the evening. But feet also get little heels because, of course, there's a little ball on the back of the foot. And so you get to put a little ball of wax on the back there and maybe hook it up with an Achilles tendon into the back of the ankle. And, you just kind of build the foot out of pieces and parts and blend them together. And pretty soon, voila, you have a foot where there was no foot before. And I know that I make it look easy, and all of you guys are, mad at me and rolling your eyes and everything like, this is so hard. Sorry. Sorry. It's what we do. So, but Rome wasn't built in a day. You're not going to make your first sculpture and it's going to be wonderful. I really want, this to be like a gateway for you guys to get into the arts, to look at ways of expressing yourself from scratch, originally, about, whatever it is that moves you. And if dinosaurs, are an interest of yours and they move you, that's fantastic. That's wonderful. You do not have to sculpt little nude people. That's your teacher's hang up. And so, let him and his uh, therapist, if he ever was brave enough to go get a therapist, work on that, work that one out. But it's interesting to be teaching art, to be teaching sculpture in the 21st century. A lot of the things that we used to have and take for granted, like art galleries, are struggling. They're very difficult to make money at. And so there are fewer art galleries now than there used to be. And it seems fewer ways of dealing with the old-fashioned visual arts, like painting, sculpture, that kind of thing. But I still think that there is a great need for it. There's a need for people to be able to express themselves, and there's a need for other people to collect this kind of stuff because they value what artists have to say, the observations that we make about the world around us, or abstract ideas that the only way to kind of put them down and give them form is through, sculpture or painting or something like that. So it makes for a really interesting, life when you have enough wherewithal to be able to include a little bit of art, in your life, either the art that you make or perhaps the art that you collect from an artist that and that's really the most important art of all. We get all caught up on the stars of the show, the major famous artists from art history. Everybody thinks that they want to have a Picasso or some kind of a famous work of art, but there's not enough famous art to go around. And there are tons and tons and tons and tons of artists who are working right now and making art that's accessible and available to us, artists in our own community. So just to know that they're there, to seek them out when they're having shows or when they're having their studios open, when you can come and visit their studios and see what their work looks like, to be able to, commission a small piece or to buy one of their paintings or sculptures or something. It gives you something wonderful and something unique that you can't get anywhere else. You can't get it on Amazon. You can't get it any place because it is a unique, one of a kind or limited edition work of art from a local artist that you know and you care about. So that's my art spiel. Art is an important part of, an educated person's life, a liberally educated person who, cares about larger ideas in the world than just, the more mundane things like entertainment stuff. A lot of people want to buy a painting because it goes with the sofa. And while it's nice to have a painting that goes with the sofa, sometimes it's nice to have a painting that clashes with the sofa, or a painting that has swear words on it that make a huge, powerful, important statement about things that need changing or need addressing in our society, culture, or world. And so sometimes it's okay to have a painting that has nasty words on it hanging above your sofa, because it can communicate with you every day and put a smile on your face, or make your blood run faster, or in some indescribable way, enhance your life and make life more interesting, meaningful, better. Okay, another wonderful speech by James. You guys got 2 of them tonight. That's terrible. I see by the old clock on the wall that we're 45 minutes into this now. So I'm going to start making last call for, any questions, comments, or other speeches that you'd like to make about anything, including the art world. And it wouldn't hurt my feelings or anything if you wanted to challenge anything that's been said tonight, because freedom of speech is fine and you don't get graded on this stuff. Aurora, what's up?
This is a bit off of topic, but do you have any experience with silicone molding?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I've made silicone molds out of just like clear silicone caulk, by squeezing it out into a plastic container, half a cup at a time, and mixing in just a little bit of water to make it go off, because silicone caulk is it's an RTV. It's a room temperature vulcanizing rubber, and moisture is the thing that makes silicone caulk go off. So it usually hardens from the humidity, the moisture in the air. So if you mix silicone caulk with a little bit of water and can work with it fairly fast, you can get it spread on and make mold sections out of it, and it'll harden up in about 5 or 10 minutes, depending on how much water you've mixed into it. So something like that.
Okay. Because I was telling you, I think it was last class, that I'm starting to make these like little torso figurines, and I eventually want to start making them into like candles and things. But
yeah, no, that would be good, and a silicone mold would be wonderful. Now, what I also do is when I'm working with rubber molds, I make a plaster mother mold around the rubber mold, and we call it a mother mold because it cradles and it holds the rubber so that it can't deform and twist and bend. So you make the mold out of rubber. And of course, we're going to have to put some kind of a mold release on the original pattern so that the rubber will peel off nicely off of the original pattern. Then we're going to have to paint a mold release, usually some kind of an oily thing, greasy, oily something. And it can be anything from corn oil that you might have to green soap. We use a lot of soap as a mold release to paint on the rubber before you put the plaster mother mold over the top of it. And I'm usually using a spatula to spread the plaster on, and the mother mold usually goes on 1/2 inch to 1 inch thick. And then you've got the rubber mold plus the mother mold. And I can demonstrate mold making. I've got some molds that I need to make, so might have to do that one of these days. That'll be fun.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, boy, that opened a can of worms, because that means a demonstration. Oh my gosh. Okay. Anything else from any of you other guys for the good of the order, from the dinosaur sculptors or the bird sculptor or anything else? You're just laughing at me. I can see you. Those of you who have your webcams on, I can see you laughing at me. All right, I'm going to come back up to my face because
I have something completely off topic. It's like,
okay,
doesn't
who's that?
this.
Who's that?
My mom keeps calling me. She's in Florida right now. She's been vaccinated, but she's hanging out with her sisters in Florida, and she's completely wasted. So this entire class, she keeps texting me about toe rings, and like, she's just in Florida. She had a drink called a bushwhacker. So I just thought that might be entertaining for you guys. My mom and her sisters are just having a great time in Florida, and they keep bugging me in this class. I'm like, I'm trying to listen to the lecture. Please leave me be. But I just thought that might be interesting.
Okay. Wow.
Sorry, that was just completely off topic. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. That's good. That's the cool thing about like digital communication, is that we're all in communication with all these other people. And somebody in Florida could be texting you about how blotto they are and how much fun they're having. And that's cool. My folks never did that for me. So, you know, I think you guys are a lot closer to your parents than my generation was,
No, this is
which,
it's funny because I've never like seen her intoxicated.
oh,
Her sisters are making sure she's having a good time. So
well,
That's good. That's good.
yes,
Also,
yes.
I find it funny because like last quarter in our sculpting class, we would be so off topic, you couldn't figure out what the hell half of us were talking about. And then he would have to bring us back to sculpture, but you know, that's just how the room goes. So it's funny because like when we're doing Zoom classes, very rarely do we get off topic at all.
Yeah.
But
I just thought I might lighten up. Like
yeah, it
just
was great.
um,
I want to know what's in a
I feel like-
bushwhacker.
yeah, I don't know what it is. I've had a lot of caffeine as well, so I'm kind of like, but yeah. Sorry if that's really off topic for you.
that is so fine. Do please find out what's in a bushwhacker for us for next time. And maybe sometime in the fullness of time when you guys are all old enough, we'll all have to go out for a bushwhacker and we'll have a good laugh about this. So I don't know, you guys haven't made any comments about my t-shirt yet, so I guess I don't have a lot of Disenchantment fans
I like your
here.
shirt.
Uh-oh.
Your shirt.
But I really got into Disenchantment when it came out several years ago, and now we've had like 2 seasons of it.
I
And
honestly
it's-
didn't notice until you said something.
Oh, well, I've been a big fan of Lucy forever because Lucy is so bad and such a bad influence. So I get a kick out of Lucy. Anyway, on that happy note, I think we're going to call it a night. So thank you all for coming. Today's Wednesday, so I won't see you until next Monday. I'll send out emails about being open for business on Monday, and if you want to come in for face-to-face class, that'll be fine. Oh, ingredients to Aurora looked this up. Oh my God.
It's a
Okay,
bushwhacker.
it's in the chat. So it's dark rum coffee liqueur, creme de cocoa, cream of coconut, and milk. Oh God. Okay. You don't want to see that come back up later on. All right. Well, good luck with that. Good night, everybody. I will see you next week. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.